This week celebrates the country's beef industry, and it's all happening in Rockhampton. Matt Wordsworth is there. Matt, the crowds are bigger than ever.
Yeah, that's right, Jess. A record crowd on day one. 25,000 last time, 31,000 this time, and 60,000 across the 3 days. But this isn't just about having fun. This is big business and one of our key export industries. And they're looking for new opportunities, particularly with these ongoing trade tensions with China. It's just the latest challenge for the sector, which has also been hit by drought, fire and floods in recent years. But prices are strong.
Looking for the next big thing in beef, industry leaders are hoping free trade agreements with the UK and Europe will create new opportunities for Australian producers.
They're some of our highest value markets, but we have very small access to them now.
Last year, China banned imports from several Australian abattoirs, resulting in a 42% drop in exports in the year to March. While trade has now resumed, market share has been lost.
So it's really important now to diversify our markets away so we're not reliant on China, despite it being its highest value.
Prices have been at record highs, with fewer cattle heading to abattoirs and farmers rebuilding after the 2019 drought.
People are wanting to rebuild and they're keeping more cattle to breed from over time. So the rebuild's happening probably faster than what we thought, so we'll see a growth in the herd.
The industry is also focused on its reputation, keen to counter arguments from animal activists and competitors making plant-based proteins. A new report shows an increasing awareness of animal welfare standards among producers and an uptake of sustainable farming practices.
Water usage by processors has decreased by 8% over the reporting year. We've also got an increase in pain relief usage. We've got a reduction in carbon emissions.
Peter Marnie's property in central Queensland is involved in a pilot program calculating emissions at individual farms.
We're doing a great job of producing the best quality food, and at the same time we are managing this landscape in a way that delivers carbon outcomes for Australia and better health for Australia.
Telling the story of Australian beef to a global market. Tobias Jers-Lewis, ABC News, Rockhampton.
So this is a massive event in the beef calendar in a pivotal moment for the industry. For more on this, I spoke to the chairman of Beef Australia, Bryce Camm, a short time ago. Bryce, thanks for joining us tonight. You've had a great attendance. You haven't just beaten the record, you've smashed the record. Why are people so keen to be here this time around?
Matt, Beef Australia, a very exciting program. Over 31,500 people through on People's Day. And some 50,000 people by the end of day two. There's still people streaming through the gates tonight. People are very excited to be here in Rockhampton for Beef Australia.
Yeah, they're just coming through right now for tonight's activities. But is it because of the pandemic people have been shut indoors for too long?
I don't just think it's about that. I think there's a great program on offering here, but people from right around the country are here to celebrate this iconic Australian event, but also a great Australian industry.
So just in the package we've seen, there are some concerns in the industry about our relationship with China and that we ought to be diversifying our markets. Firstly, do you agree with that? And if so, what markets should we be looking for?
I agree that diversification of markets is essential for Australian agriculture in general. Thankfully, in the Australian beef industry, our reputation for high quality, safe product is well renowned around the world. We have markets into over 120 countries. There sounds like there's good outcomes coming out of negotiations for a free trade agreement with the UK, which hopefully lead for improved exports into the wider European Union.
Okay, and the Prime Minister was here, of course, earlier this week. He's been speaking about getting Australia on the road to net zero emissions by 2050. The beef industry has already set a target for 2030. Is that going to be a radical change in what is just 9 years away?
No, Matt. Agriculture is absolutely part of the solution in the carbon conversation. Many countries and industries are looking at targets around 2050. We in the Australian beef industry have very proudly made a commitment to 2030, just some 9 years away. And here at Beef Australia, there's a number of innovations that are showcasing the industry's pathway towards that outcome.
All right, Bryce Camm, thanks very much for your time.
Thanks so much for being at Beef Australia.
And this event has been a magnet not just for crowds but our leading politicians. The Prime Minister was here yesterday in what will be a key battleground in the coming federal election. Today it was the Premier saying she hopes Queensland will get a fair share in next week's federal budget. Here's state political reporter Kate McKenna.
Sizing up the livestock and hoping for a prime cut in next week's federal budget.
We're asking for a fair share and a fair deal. That's what we've always asked for.
The Queensland Premier and her Treasurer in the beef capital, spruiking the strength of a key industry and staking their claim for more federal funding for the state.
That industry can only work when we get our fair share for roads, as the Premier said, for the healthcare system, for education, for childcare and other important services for the community. Importantly for communities in regional Queensland as well.
Mr Morrison.
The Prime Minister also used the Rockhampton event this week as part of his Queensland tour, serving up a pre-budget appetiser, a $370 million biosecurity package.
Beef Week 2021. The livestock industry depends very much on what we do as a federal government, as a Commonwealth government, to protect the biosecurity of this country.
Regional Queensland helped deliver the coalition its election victory in 2019. Support he'll again be looking for, with Maverick MP George Christensen not contesting the next election. Kate McKenna, ABC News.
Before I sign off from Beef Australia, I have to mention it's a big day tomorrow, including the judging of the Grand Champion Bull. A massive field of stud cattle here, 1,400. One bloke called this the Melbourne Cup of bull judging, so should be a great afternoon.